Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. This is episode 5 of Childhood Heroes and I'm joined today in a very hot Austin, Texas with my mate Darren. Darren, how are you, mate?
I'm sound, I'm hot.
It is indeed.
Sunglasses on, the sun's at our backs, burning, but we crack on, don't we?
We do. Right, let's get into it then. You are a very young man. What's your first experiences of football? Firstly football.
Football for me was my granddad. Just coming home, seeing him. Well, actually, he would come over before he goes to the match, and as his scarf, like just as his regiment, was always being a suit. Like you'd never see that to this day unless you actually work for Liverpool Football Club, right? But back then in the 60s, 70s, always suit and tie and hot as hell. I don't know how he did it, always in the cop. But yeah, that's my first foremost into like football, is him going a match and then coming back, like, you know, a bit worse for wear, but he'd try to tell me like how the match went, and this is at like 3-4 years old. I can remember from 5 years old just him telling me about certain players like Roger Hunt, Ian Callaghan, and then Kevin Keegan, and just latched on from there. Like, I think when you're young you don't really understand football, which I didn't from like 5 to 6, but as I got older, you know, you just appreciate what it's all about. You know, it's not about just kicking the ball in the back garden. You know, it's, at 5 years old, I didn't have a hero. I would just be like Liverpool Football Club in the back garden, you know, scoring all the goals against the back wall, and you know, my mum, especially my mother. We had a massive bay window out of the kitchen, and my mum just shaking her head because I'd be out there all day just talking to myself, like kicking the ball, scoring goals, and my mother just going,
It's mad.
You're bananas.
So at what point did Kevin Keegan come along, and at what point can you really remember him standing out for you?
For me, it was going to my first match, which was 76, 77 season.
Not a bad year.
Yeah, it was August. I don't remember the exact date, but it was Coventry at home, and we won 3-1. And my dad's not a football fan. My granddad would crack on about this new lad called Kevin Keegan. I mean, Kevin had been there since 73, I believe, and he'd say, you know, Darren, this lad's like, he's fast, he's nimble, like, you know, he cuts through people, he's small, he has a good head on him, and he actually told me the story of he went to the charity shield when we played Leeds.
Yeah, big fight.
Yeah, it's charity shield match, and Kevin Keegan and Billy Brenner had an all-out like fist fight, and this is during the charity shield. But my granddad went to that, came home, and told me all about it, and I was like, "Oh man, this Kevin lad, like, oh yeah." But it wasn't until I actually, you know, went to my first match, just took in the atmosphere, and then I actually got to see Kevin, and he scored, Toshak scored, Davy Johnson scored, which back then was the norm. It was Kevin, it was Tosh, it was Davy Johnson. So yeah, I started to, you know, think of like Kevin, like, oh man, you know, he's someone I want to watch. You know, I mean, my granddad would have me on his shoulders, and it was tough back then because, you know, you think of the Kop now as being pretty packed. Back in the 70s, it was absolutely chocker block. Like they put in at least another 2,000-3,000 people in the Kop back then, you know, and a bunch of kids were on top of their dads, granddads, and it was just.
It wasn't very safe, was it?
No, it wasn't very safe, and I've told this story quite a few times. Like when my granddad used to have to go to the loo, he put me on a stranger's shoulders. You could never ever do that now. But that stranger, thank God, wasn't a weirdo. That stranger, once my granddad would come back, I'd be back on my granddad's shoulders. But you know, I probably had one of the best seats in the house back then.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because I imagine at that point you probably just walked up the ground that day and got a ticket and went in.
Yeah,
there's none of this like 25-year wait for a season ticket.
And nowadays you've got to sort it out on your phone. You know,
and then you just rock up about 1:30.
Well, that's what you hear these days. Is like, I have the ticket on my phone, but I can't get it, like, you know, to work. Yeah, I mean, you know, my granddad paid for me every single time. My mum didn't like it, me going to a match at all. She just thought I was too young for it. My granddad was like, he's fine, he's old enough, you know. I went when my granddad took me, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, different times. You know, obviously, nowadays you have to be just really careful. But I mean, you have seating now, so you can take a 6-7-year-old kid and you feel safe.
It's probably a well better experience, isn't it? But Kevin Keegan himself, like, he had an incredible style, didn't he? He was all hustle and bustle and fight and run like mad. Is there a sort of player? I mean, I've been asking these over the last few weeks in any episodes of, like, sort of comparing players. I appreciate that our audience is people from all different ages and backgrounds. Is there a certain player now or recently that you could sort of describe Kevin Keegan like?
See, I've been thinking about this since you started doing this. I'm like, well, he's a bit of this and he's a bit of that. Like, he's a bit of Jota, like, to be honest. But he's a bit of Salah as well. Just, you know, his mazy runs, but he, like, just, to me, reminds me a bit more of Jota, because Jota gets in those positions, great header of the ball, just like Kevin was. So yeah, I would think. I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody has their own opinions, but to me, close to Jota's kind of style.
Do you think as well? Little bits of, like, Suarez is, like, not a nasty side, but just the total work ethic. Like, it was just from I mean, you obviously know, but things I'm reading is just the total work ethic, just constantly non-stop.
Well, he'd always want the ball. Yeah. Always, like me. With Kevin, he knew what to do with the ball, because, you know, some players, like, they want the ball and then all of a sudden it's panic. Kevin was as cool as a cucumber, and just he was just such a joy to watch. Like, I mean, I've told you this story. Well, actually, no, I haven't. Well, you know the other story about the poster, but I got so, like, infatuated with Keegan. I wanted the chops. I wanted the hair.
Well, at 7. Yeah, 6 and 7.
Well, I got the hair, but it was more of a bowl cut, a long bowl cut. But my granddad had made 2 sideburns for me and stuck them here.
Yeah.
And there's a picture somewhere in the archives of the O'Connor family that I've got that, you know, with the shirt on. Well, brilliant. a made shirt.
It would be a red top with 7 on the back.
Yeah. Well, barely 7. Barely 7, but yeah, it was red. But yeah, it definitely wasn't from the LFC shop.
Yeah. So if we move on then, I mean, 1977 was obviously just
amazing,
incredible year from our point of view. You know, obviously winning the European Cup. Can you remember, before we get to that point, can you remember much of much of, before we get to the cup finals and the European Cup, do you remember much of the season itself?
Well,
Because obviously, sorry, I was to say, just for our audience as well, like back then, your game might be a game on match of the day.
yeah,
It might be like, it'll be like a
yeah. No
magazine or
YouTube,
something. Like,
no.
it wouldn't be anything more than one game, would it?
Nah. I mean, you didn't have YouTube, social media back then, so it was basically newspapers after the match or match of the day. Catch, but that was I think everybody. If you were back home, match of the day is your whole family sat in front of the telly watching match of the day.
Yeah.
As you could, but it's massive change from nowadays because you just have football 24/7. So that season was an amazing season, and it was my first cup final that I ever went to. It was in '77 against United.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it
just
was.
going to ask you. I
Yeah.
was just going to say because obviously the league had been already been won, and then go on.
Me mum didn't know for 3 months
But that you were
that I
that you'd
went.
been. Oh
Yeah,
wow!
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
on. So what happened there then?
Yeah. Well, she didn't have a go at me. She had a go at my granddad. Yeah. She
I mean,
found.
a 7-year-old's not booking the train on themselves, are they?
No,
So
no,
I
no, no, no.
imagine your granddad got a bit of
Yeah.
a telling
Well,
off.
it was crazy because we had such an amazing season, um, and to play United in the FA Cup is one of the biggest ones you can think of. And your granddad told me mum, like, he picked me up the night before, and we went back to his house. He lived in Southport, so only 15-20 minutes away from Thornby, and said, we're going to spend the weekend together. Like, my granddad played golf, so we're going to go to Royal Birkdale, and just play golf. I'd never hit a golf ball in my life, so I'm surprised my mum didn't question that anyway. But I used to pick all the golf balls that had just been all over the place, and then you pocket some, pocket money. But yeah, we were gone for 2 days.
No clue.
Yeah, my mum just thought I'd gone to my granddad's, had a nice time, but I had the ticket stub and I kept it, obviously. And 2-3 months later, I think my mum had cleaned my room as mums do back then, and she found it, and she goes, "You weren't at Wembley, were you?" And I just had this massive beam on my face.
How did you keep that? How did you keep that quiet? Like being seven,
My granddad was like, "Shh, don't tell
you
your mum.
can't say anything.
Here's some toffees.
Yeah. That's. I mean, wow.
Here's a pound, and a pound back then was like,
Yeah. If you tell her, you're not going ever again.
yeah."
Sort of thing. What can you remember about the actual cup final? I mean, that's a crazy story. But what can you remember about the actual?
It was mayhem for me. I mean, I'm not going to tell a lie. I was absolutely shit scared.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, everybody that was in there was bigger than me. I mean, obviously, I saw some lads that were probably around my age. That I was shit scared, and especially a bit of the trouble with the United supporters.
Yeah.
But I was well guarded by my granddad and 4 or 5 of his mates. I didn't feel like I'd get in trouble, but just the occasion just was too much for me. So I remember McDermott scoring and fucking everybody going apeshit. And then I remember Keegan. That's another thing. Kevin was a brilliant player, but he made mistakes as well, and he gave the ball away to United, and they scored.
Yeah.
I don't know who scored for United, but that was a turnaround, and very very weird, like train ride home, just going there and seeing everybody just joyous and singing, and then on the way home, just dead quiet.
Yeah, it's weird though, isn't it? Because like it's similar to how City have had it this year. Like Liverpool had won the league, they're playing the cup final against the big rivals. Obviously, we didn't. We got beat, but then a couple of days later it was the European Cup final.
Yeah,
So it must have felt
4 days.
and it was obviously the first one ever, in our history to be in the European Cup final. So there must have been like a weird sort of feeling of being like, you could have won the double, which back then would have, but this is before the European Cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you maybe could have won the double, which would have been a huge, like the first one in our history at that point. But then you've also got the European Cup final, so I can sort of feel like it is probably a really weird feeling that. I mean, you're probably 7, so you were probably just like,
But, like when my granddad was like, he was adamant, he was like, we're winning.
European Cup.
We're winning in Rome.
Yeah.
And I was like,
whatever he said was gospel, basically.
Yeah, but I felt he was taking me. I did because he took me to Wembley. I thought
you were going to Rome. Did he go to Rome?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not
same mate. He has the same 4 or 5 mates that went with him.
Yeah.
And he told me it was hell to get there. He said it was.
Yeah, it's not something you want to take.
It wasn't very nice in Rome.
No.
But he said once in the stadium, he goes,
fine.
But he said he knew Liverpool were going to win. Just like when we were here for the Champions League final 2019 against Spurs, I knew we were going to win. It was just one of those where you just knew. And my granddad was like, we're winning this. We're coming back. We're not coming back losers. I was like, all right, Dad, hopefully I'll see you, on the telly.
So, what can you remember of the actual final itself? Obviously, Tommy Smith scoring.
McDermott.
Was it not Keegan and Neil? But it was.
No,
it was Smith.
Keegan never scored.
Oh, did he not?
No,
he got fouled for the penalty, didn't he?
McDermott scored the first. Borussia Mönchengladbach equalised.
Yeah.
Tommy Smith
from the corner. And then he got fouled, didn't he, for the pen?
Keegan did that 40-yard, Maradona,
right. And
run.
Phil Neal saw it.
And
Phil Neal saw the pen.
And I did look this up because Bertie Voigt from Mönchengladbach fucking took him out, and then Phil Neal scored
the pen,
But I didn't see my granddad for the week.
Yeah, I bet you never.
And neither did me nan.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them back from Italy.
It was like here's a quick story about my granddad. My granddad was a desert rat in the army, and he was over there in Africa, and he went missing, MIA, and there was a knock on my nan's door, and it was two army personnel, and they said, sorry, your husband's missing in action, presumed dead.
Oh wow.
And 6 months later, knock at my nan's door.
Yeah.
She opens the door, right, and it's my granddad, but he's so dark. Like I'm pretty like olive complexion, I think, because of my granddad and there. But he's so dark. She's like, hello. He's like, what? You're not going to give me a kiss? And she goes, why would I give you a kiss? And it's like, it's Bertie. His name's Herbert, Bertie. Great names back then.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I'm your husband. Fucking fainted.
Really? Yeah. She thought he was done it.
So I guess just being a week away from me nan. It's better than for 6 months.
Wow, that's absolutely wild, isn't it? That is wild. But it happens. We just won the European Cup, won the league, we won the treble, and then he's going. What was your first thoughts on that? I know you got a bit of a story about that one.
Yeah, my first thought was to go in my bedroom, and I had nothing but Kevin Keegan posters everywhere. Was to rip every single one down, and I did. I went crazy. I ripped them all down. I hated him. I didn't understand why would you want to leave Liverpool, and left it alone. Just angry, pissed off. I mean, 7-year-old, just infatuated with Keegan. I mean, it was a quick one because, again, I went to my first match when I was 6, and then Keegan leaves a year later. But in that year, I mean, I'm a 7-year-old that just lived, breathed Liverpool and Kevin Keegan. And I had this massive one, must have been like 1 foot by half a foot, is everything, just glorious. And I just ripped it in two, and just pissed off for a couple of days. And then my granddad, there's a lot of knocking in my house.
It's so funny, isn't it? Because I was thinking, like, with mine, you just, if anything happened, it would just be a knock. Right now, it'd just call you.
Yeah, or
it'd just be a knock.
Yeah, it's
that,
always
a knock. That would either mean shut up or come up, come here. Sorry, carry on.
It was a knock on my bedroom door. My granddad was like, "Can I come in?" I was like, "Yeah." Came in. He goes, "Sit down," like very stern, like sit down, lad. And when your parents or your grandparents say lad, that's when they mean business. I was like, "What's going on, Grandad?" And he was shaking.
I was angry.
I was like, "What?" Out the bin bag, he took that one poster. Well, I mean, he couldn't have taken the other posters because it's just ripped. This one I ripped in half. He took it out, and he goes, and it was rolled it back up, and he taped it, and he goes, "Don't you ever rip a poster of any Liverpool player up again." I was like, "Okay." He goes, show some respect for what Kevin's done for this team.
Oh wow.
And as a 7-year-old, I looked up to my granddad. I always looked up to him. I mean, again, he's the first one that showed me interest in football, and I started shaking. I mean, there was like tears welling up in his eyes. He's like, "That's the most disrespectful thing you could ever do." He goes, "He's given everything for Liverpool Football Club. He just feels it's time to move on."
Wow, it's a very thing to say.
I still didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But I put that poster back on my wall as quick as anything. I mean, it came down a year later
when another fella came.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I mean,
I think when you're younger as well, you don't like following this club. You don't realise just. I mean, we're lucky. We're so lucky.
Well, we don't know. I didn't know Kenny Dalglish was coming.
Of course.
So when Kevin was like, all right, but what was weird too is like back then, as opposed to now, not many English players moved to Europe.
Yeah. I mean,
he was one of the first ones.
Yeah, he's got one of the first.
And then you look in the next 78 and 79 Ballon d'Or, he won at Hamburg. Yeah. So, he went on to be
money as well. A lot more money as well.
But he went on to be a better footballer. Obviously. But as a 7-year-old, I was devastated, and it did take me a while. When Kenny came in, nobody expected him to be as good as he was. On the pitch and off the pitch later on.
Do you think then? Because we're actually going to do it's good actually. We're going to be doing one next week with Keith about Dalglish. It works quite well this. But do you think in some ways, because obviously Kenny Dalglish was probably the greatest figure in our history, do you think in some ways Keegan's legacy, or people don't realise or appreciate just how great he was?
No, 100%. I mean, when you get players like Kenny, even beforehand with Roger Hunt, Ian Callaghan, with how many goals and how many appearances, Kevin's kind of stuck there in the middle, isn't he?
Because of...
Yeah. And then you've got Kenny.
Yeah.
And then even Barnes,
Rush.
So I think he's an unsung hero that I think more current Liverpool fans need to look into, because he scored some class goals.
just think I think one of the things about Kevin Keegan as well is he come across as genuinely a sound fella. Like obviously moving much further onto his career when he's gone, and he's gone obviously to Newcastle, and obviously he's come back at Anfield then, and we've had the 4-3s, and then obviously he's gone on and been at Man City and England and stuff like that. He's just come across as a genuinely sound fella,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah, and he's still. What I love is, I don't love these flies. What I love is the old boy he still has time, to do the Liverpool Legends events. He still has time to do the memorabilia.
Do you reckon he'll come on our pod?
You know what, Kevin? If you're listening, please. I mean,
You'll be crying your eyes out though, knowing you.
I will find that poster. I'm sorry I ripped all your posters. I am. But to me, again, he's my childhood hero, and I would love to meet him and tell him as a 7-year-old, you made me dream.
It's a good way to end it, I think, mate. Okay, everyone. Next week, like I said, we've got Kenny Dalglish, and these are coming up every single Sunday morning.
We have Kenny Dalglish.
We haven't got any, no, we've got Keith Salmon talking about Kenny Dalglish. But yeah, no, I think that would be something else. But appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And from a very hot, sweaty Austin, Texas, we'll see you all later. Ta-da.